Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and we're going to be working in Design Space again today. And this is something I have been wanting to do for quite a while, and you may be looking at it and thinking, well, what is it? It's not anything special. Well, it's because we haven't designed it yet. So let me scroll up to what I had previously designed, and you can see they are supposed to be, if you're familiar with the Mandala or Wreath makers, it is basically my own version, using the tools that I have rather than buying something new. I first saw this tool, I believe it was Gina K, and as far as I know, she still offers this tool. It's a great tool. If you have the room, the money, the budget, all that to continue buying tools. But if you don't, you can make your own. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I created this previously, and I'm just going to scroll back down. Actually, what I'm going to do is, because we're going to rename this one completely, well, you know what, I will leave it there for a minute just so I can see the different angles that I've used. So we'll scroll this up, and what we're going to do is there's a couple ways you can do this. So let me duplicate this, and I'm just going to pull it over here to the side. And what we're going to do first, oh, you know what, let me duplicate that too, because we will need it when we do it the other way. So what we're going to do first is, I've got this centered. I just selected both of them and I aligned and centered. Now the larger square is 7 by 7, and that will fit in my stamping platform. There are a couple different versions of this on the market. The Misty is probably the most popular one, and it does come in a couple of different sizes. That does not happen to be the one I have, and mine is on the smaller side, so I have limited to this shape, this template that we're going to make, to a 7 by 7, because that will fit in my stamping platform. Or stamp positioner, whatever you want to call it. So 7 by 7 is the overall size. Now the card size, I decided to work with 3 3/4 by 5 because I like to mat my card base or my card front. So there would be the card, a mat, and then the card front. So I have just gone down 1/4 of an inch for the mat, and then 1/4 of an inch for the card front. If that makes sense. I hope it does, because your basic card would be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I went to 4 by 5 1/4 for the mat, and then 3 3/4 by 5 for the card front, which is the part that we will stamp on. So now that I've got them both selected, what we're going to do is we're going to slice. And we can take this one out, and we can take one of these out as well. Oh, I guess not. Okay, sorry. So now what we want to do is we're going to rotate this. Now this kind of depends on the stamp that you'll be using, how big or small it is, and the way you're going to lay it out on your paper, whether it's going to be more of a mandala or a wreath, as to how many different rotations you might want to make. But to start with, let's do 90. And we're going to go ahead and select both pieces, and we're going to slice. Now I'm going to need this smaller one again, and we're going to center it again. And now we need to decide, do we want to do it on the 45? You know what, before I do that, I'm just make one more copy over here. So I think we'll do a 45-degree angle, but I just want to turn this one, so we'll do it this way. And we will select both, and then we will slice. We'll remove that, and you can see we're getting there. So we'll pull this one back in, and we'll center it by selecting both. And this time we want to go, let's see, 315. No, is that right? Well, let's try it and see. I don't have my little handy chart in front of me. Plus, I selected the wrong piece. Why is it not selecting? Oh, I know why. I need to send this. It is in the back, but we'll send it to the back again. Okay, let's try that. All right, so now let's try rotating at 315. Yeah, that's what I want. And we will slice. And we will remove that. We will remove that and that. And it looks like, I mean, that's a little odd, but it would work. It's not like the ones that I did previously, which were more symmetrical. But it's an interesting look. It could work. So we're going to go ahead and save that one just because you never know. You just never know. And now to do this a little differently, what we're going to do is we're going to slide this out of the way, and we're going to take this and we're going to duplicate it. I don't know how many times. Let's see. Let's try 6 times just to pull them all together. And actually, I want to save one of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align all of those, and I'm going to center them because I want them all perfectly aligned. And we've got 6. So 6 goes into 360. 60 degrees, is that what we're going to do? I don't know. Like I said, I don't have my cheat sheet. Oops, but I just want one. So we'll do 60, and then we'll click the one behind it if it will let us, and we will do 120. And now we want to click the one behind that, and it's going to let us, and then we'll do 180. I'm not sure that worked. Oh, because 180 would be half. So what I should have done was 240. And that's half of that. I'm getting confused somewhere. I really need my chart, but I have no idea where it's at, to be honest. Let's just try and do 30 degrees with this first one. And then let's do 60. And let's do 90. And let's do 120. And there should be one more, it looks like. So that one would be 150. And feel like that's all of them? We'll try. 180 should just flip it completely, right? So yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll weld these together now. Yeah, it still doesn't look quite right, does it? You know what? It's probably because they're not square. Duh. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going on here. If they were square, it would be more even. So I think the difference here, I think what happened with this one is why it looks different is because we're not working with a square, we are working with a rectangle, and I think that's why it shows up a little differently. I don't know that that will matter. In the US we do more of the A2 cards, which are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is what I'm working with. I mean, there are people who do the square ones, but I think those are fewer and far between. But that doesn't mean you can't make that work with the squares or even with the rectangles. So now I'm thinking maybe I should just do a circle. No, I'm not going to mess with that. That's way too complicated for right now. But what I am going to do is, if we did that one, let's do 20 and see what 20 does. So I'll rotate this one to 20, and I'm going to send it to the back, which is Shift Control there. And that's just to make it easier to grab this one in front. So we'll do 40 and send that to the back. And then we'll do 60 and send that one to the back. Now I'm just using the keyboard shortcuts. You can use your menu options up here, or you can right click, whatever's easier for you. So we're going to pick this one, and I think I did 20, 40, 60, so now we want 80. And send that to the back, and I'll just use my keyboard or my mouse this time. Then we're going to go 100, and the mouse, and see, this is what I was using with the keyboard shortcuts: Shift plus Control plus the open bracket. And I forgot what that one was. That was 100, so now I need 120. No, I'm going to put that back. I'm going to duplicate it. I need another one. And I'm going to put that over here. And then I'm going to change it to 120. And I'm going to duplicate that. Pull it over and do 160. Now you may notice I didn't center those completely, but I'll show you how to do that when we're done. So let's do 160. Yeah. So then you're just going to select everything like this, and you can go ahead and center it up again here this way instead of doing it beforehand. Center. It did do a little shifting, but you can see how the points aren't all symmetrical. It almost looks like we could use another one right there, but it's still very interesting. So there's different ways you can set this up. Let's see here. Let's weld all that together. Combine and weld. So now it's just one piece. And then we'll make another copy of the background here, which we want to send to the back. Helps if I hit the right keys. And I'm going to select both those pieces and center it. And then I will slice. And I'm just going to pull that out of there. And there you have another one. And it looks a little strange, but we'll have a better idea how it actually works once we cut it out and try it. So what I think I will do at this point is I will go ahead and save this. And I've already pre-saved it, so I'll just do a save instead of a save as. And I think I'll cut a few of these out. Now you could use cardstock for this. You could even use something like chipboard or something like that, but just be aware that the thicker the material you use, it might affect your stamping with your stamping platform. So just be aware of that. I'm actually going to use some plastic. It comes from, well, I got these at Walmart. I'll show you a picture here, insert picture here. And it is folders that I've cut the front and the back off of, and then I use those plastic folders or little plastic notebooks to cut my stencils out of. So I think I'll do that. Well, I'm rethinking. I think I'll use cardstock today, and the reason is if this doesn't work, I don't want to waste my good plastic. So I'll use a piece of cardstock today to cut these out, and then we'll come back and see how they actually work. All right? Alright, I am back. I cut out both of the templates just using cardstock because, again, I want to test it before I use my good materials, or as I like to think of them. So I have gone ahead and temporarily placed it on my stamping platform, and I wish I remembered the name of it. It's not to be found on here anywhere unless it's under the mat. Nope. So I can't remember the name of it. I believe it was a European make, but I wouldn't swear to it. So I've cut out my template here, which is, I believe it's a 7 by 7. Nope, this one's actually 6 by 6 roughly, because this is the square one. And I'm just going to put it in the corner here. I'm going to place down some magnets to keep it in place. Put this little one down there. And here's my little 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 card piece. And you can see it just fits right in there. Now the only other thing I would do differently is I would cut this out with the Cricut, because I don't know if you can see this, but there's just the tiniest little gaps, and that may affect the accuracy a little bit. I don't know. I guess it just depends. I mean, it's pretty minuscule, but it's hard to say, you know. And then here's now I know the square will work because I've seen it done. But this is for the 3 3/4 by 5 piece. Whoops, there we go. To make some camera adjustments, and I'm just getting used to them. And here's what that template looked like. So I'm going to pull out a couple stamps, and we're going to try this. We're going to try this on both. We'll start with the one that I know should work, and then we'll move on to the other one. So give me a couple minutes to pick out, well, you won't need a couple minutes. I'm going to pause, but I'm going to take a couple minutes to go pick out a couple of stamps. Okay, I think I forgot to hit the wrong button, but I've picked out this stamp set. It's from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Wild Beauty. I know it's several years old because I got these from my friend Aileen when she was cleaning out her stash, and so I don't know if it's still available, but the reason I chose it is because they're nice and small flowers, because a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 space isn't very big. So I wanted smaller images, and it had some leafy type things as well as the flowers. So that's why I opted for this one, and I'm going to pick out a couple of inks because I've only got one on my desk right now, and then we will get started stamping. Now, I've never done this before, whether it was with my homemade wreath maker or mandala maker, or with you know, one of the professionally made ones. So this is an experiment. Let's keep our fingers crossed, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I pulled these two stamps out, and I kind of positioned them how I think they'll fit. Now, part of them will go off the page, and that's okay, as I begin to turn the card front. So let's grab a green ink here. I'm just going to ink this up, which is over here off the camera. So I'm just inking that up a little bit. And we're going to press that down. I'm going to find my little tool there. Yeah, okay, that will work. Again, I'm not looking for perfection. This is my first time ever, so I'm going to remove this magnet long enough to flip this. Now I can flip it once, or I can flip it twice. Let's see what this looks like. How much of that's going to cover over. Let's try twice and see if we like that better. Well, let's stamp it and see. We can always come back and do it again, right? So I apologize, I can't get all of this in the screen. I keep adjusting my camera setup, and it works great for one video and then not so much for the next. So I'm just going to apply some pressure there and pull the magnet away, and we're going to move it 2 more times. We can always come back and fill those in if we need to. Grab some more ink. Now, you don't have to do 2 stamps at a time. I'm just trying to keep this video nice and short. I have a friend, Ruth, who has her own channel. She is Stamping Up with, or no, what is it called? Boy, you'd think I'd know this after 3 or 4 years. Wow. It'll come to me. Give me a minute. I'm trying to do too many things at once, and I'm struggling, obviously. So we're going to turn it once, twice. Just kind of get it lined up in there. Artful Stamping. That's it. Artful Stamping with Wreath Trice. And looking for my ink. And she is a Stampin' Up! Stamper. That's her primary go-to products, but she will occasionally introduce something a little different. And she is a fantastic stamper. One of the many things she stamps is wreaths, but she stamps all kinds of stuff, and she's just really, really amazing. I've enjoyed watching her for a few years now, and I love her techniques. And I've actually learned quite a bit from her, even though I mostly do digital art when I'm in the mood to do that particular thing. But I've still learned some things from her about composition and how things go together. And she just does beautiful work. She's very very easy to get along with. She's created a wonderful group, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Now this doesn't look very wreathy right now, but I'm hoping, 1, 2, I'm hoping it will get there as we add some more details. Like I said, normally I would stamp these one at a time, but just for the sake of time management, I'm doing them 2 stamps at a time. All right, so I feel like that's good for now. Wipe those off. I think I need a little bit more water. And I'll take the smaller one of the, or the narrower one. It's not really smaller, it's longer. And I'm going to try this with just using this one, because I think that'll help fill it in a little bit better. So much for time management, right? Now here I could pick a different color too if I wanted, but yeah, see, I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's okay. We'll just go ahead and be consistent and do them all. Put that over there. And if I had done them, not done the stamps at the same time, I would have been able to position this a little bit better, so it would be a little bit closer. Let me see if I can pull this up, so that the stem, end of this stem, could be a little bit closer to the wreath. But I didn't, so we're going to have to live with this for today. Like I said, this is just a quick example. Satisfying my own curiosity more than anything. And who knows, maybe this video will never even be published. We'll see. Although so far I wouldn't say it's like a total loss or anything. And my reason for doing this and showing you this really is so that you know that you can a lot of times make do with what you have. You don't have to buy the latest and greatest tool that's available. Sometimes you can just use what you have. And if we can use what we have, why wouldn't we? I mean, most of us don't have an endless supply of cash. And for those that do, well, I salute you. But most of us don't. And so for those of us that don't, this is kind of just something that we're used to doing, which is making do with what we have. Okay, so we're going to clean that one off. Find the wet spot on my towel here. There it is. I should have just got the whole towel wet, but wasn't thinking. Okay, peel that off of there. Wow, that's really stuck. So let's move this out of the way, and we'll put these back before I dig out something else. These were brand new, it looks like, and now you can see they're stained already. Okay, so flowers. Let's pick, well, this is a small little thing, which I think will fit right there pretty nicely. So we'll put that there. Here's another small one, which maybe will slip on the inside of that. Now I know those are actually flower centers, so is that really what I want to do? Yeah, we're just playing. Let's just play. Okay, so let's make those. You know what? I'm feeling kind of purpley today. But first we have to close our lid now that we've positioned them. Whoops. Forgot my magnet was on my lid. Now that we've positioned them, we want to stick them to our lid. Whoop. That's okay. We can just put that right back down. That's why we have the template, right? And put that there. So let's do the purple. Now the inks I'm using are some that I've had for several years, as most of my supplies. If you've watched my videos, you know I'm really trying to use up what I have instead of getting more stuff. Let's see if that's dark enough. I might want to do that again. Oh, it's pale, but you know what? It's kind of cute. I will do it again just to see if I like it any better. All right, so let's slide that around. Those are cute, even though those are the flower centers. So I'm going to do this 2 times again, because what I think I want to do now, whether or not I'll remember when I get back around, is I want to flip the flowers and put a different color in there. So we'll see. We'll see how this looks with round 1, and then we'll reevaluate. Yeah, I was trying to apply a little more pressure so I didn't have to re-ink it, and I'm not going to re-ink it. I think it's fine. 1, 2, put that back in there. Now, the advantage to using the plastic that I talked about earlier is it's a little thicker than the cardstock, so I think it'll slip into the template easier. But again, I haven't cut it out of the cardstock because I wanted to see how this worked first. Or cut it out of the plastic, I mean. All right, moving right along. Now again, I would do some things differently on this next time around, but this is just my first play, and I don't think it's terrible. You know what, I'm going to re-ink that one just so that there's at least 2 sets in there that are a little darker than everybody else. There we go. 1, 2. Now, if you were really clever, you could, when you had your Cricut cut this out, you could number each one of these points so that you would be able to count maybe a little easier in case you got distracted or something. You could have it use a pen and write in which point you're using, or which degree you're using, whatever makes more sense to you, really. And we'll do that one more time. And I think that'll put these really close together, but that's okay. Oops. Oh no, I think that's perfect. Since we're rotating twice, as long as this has the even number of points, it'll work out evenly. Okay, that looks really good. Let's wipe off our stamps, I should say, because there's two of them here. All right, and I think we'll change colors. So this time, this is the outside one, so that's time I'm going to put it on the inside. Just kind of mix it up right there. I'll grab this little guy and put him in here somehow. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Try to get that. Okay, so I think we want that one more in that area, so we'll put this one in this area. Attach them with some pressure to our lid. Make sure that didn't move. It did move a little bit, didn't it? All right, so that time we used purple, so this time let's use this blue here. So, oh, my inks, I told you they're several years old. These are Harmony by Spectrum Noir, and I actually got these off of QVC or HSN, I don't remember which one, years ago. And they worked great, but the problem is they don't have refills, ink refills with them. So I will be replacing them as they dry up. I do also have a bunch of Tim Holtz oxides and Distress oxides over there, but sometimes they don't stamp quite like I like them to. There's several other inks I'm looking at. Catherine Pooler has a nice selection, and I wish I'd realized she lived in Raleigh when I lived there, because I would have made an effort to try and meet her, just because I admire people who are able to turn a hobby into a business. So Catherine Pooler inks is one I'm looking at. Obviously I'm looking at Stampin' Up! Inks because they do have good products. They're a little pricey. Oops, I forgot to turn that, didn't I? What I would recommend, if you're interested in Stampin' Up! Products, and this is not a sales pitch, I would recommend that you become a demonstrator. And that doesn't mean you have to do parties and meet with people. Most of us are hobby demonstrators. We don't do parties of any kind or book sales and stuff. But they do have some really wonderful products, and I don't think you'd be disappointed. They also offer refills, as does Catherine Pooler. And I know there's some other ones out there, and I'm trying to think of who the other ones are that I like. And it's not coming to me right now. But there are others that also sell the ink refill, so you don't have to keep replacing the whole pad. You just add a little bit more ink each time. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got a little bit of ink on the lid to my platform, and it's not ending up on my design because of the way this is made. So I don't know who initially came up with this design. I know the Misty's the most popular, but I do believe it's been around even longer than her, but it was always kind of homemade tools, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe that's how that went. Anyway, it's a really nice way to be able to reposition your work if you need to stamp over something again, or you're trying to create a repetitive design like this. Put that in the middle, get some ink. So anyway, what I would advise you is, if you decide you like Stampin' Up! Inks better than other inks, become a demo just so you can get the discount. on everything you purchase. Without ever having to sell to somebody else, you can still get 20% off. Otherwise, look at some of the other inks, but I would only look at inks where you can get a refill for the ink pad, because otherwise, once you use it, you know, you're replacing the whole pad, and that's honestly, it's just more expensive. Let's see, here we go. We got that in there. And let's do, this should be our last one. There we go. All right, let me wipe off my little stamps here. And try to peel those off. They're super stuck. So what else can we add to that? I mean, that's a very rudimentary wreath here. But I feel like we can add something else. I just don't know what. We've got some dottage, as we call it in Ruth's Artful Stampin' Group. There's this cute little swirly thing here. Maybe we'll try that. Let's do the little swirl. Let me put, oh, they're stuck. Okay. Wow, those are really on there. So that is one of the downsides to making this yourself if you have a smaller platform like I do. It's it's going to limit you to smaller stamps. Now that might be a little different when I move to the slightly bigger piece of cardstock, but I don't think it'll be a lot different. Put that on there, put this there. And can we use anything else? Yeah, I think that'll be good. We'll just use that one. So let's get it on our lid here and close up those. And we'll pull out this dark blue that I had sitting here. Oh, Gina K also has inks. I knew there was somebody else. Simon Says sells different people's inks. I don't know if he has his own or not. But Gina K has a nice line of inks that have re-inkers with them as well. Just going to hurry through this. I wish this set had a couple of small leaves because I feel like that's what's missing, but like I said, I'm probably not going to use this. It's just a tester piece, so it doesn't really matter. So I don't know about y'all's weather, but there's big storms moving across the country right now. Today's, I don't know, maybe the 4th. No, I think it's the 5th. 5th of January, 2024. And we had some freezing rain earlier today, but it seems to have moved on past us. So hopefully we're done with the bad weather. Move that more toward the center. Just seems to keep it from lifting up when I peel the lid away. Alright, so we've gone all the way around. Now, do we want to move it and do some on the inside as well? Or do we want to just call it good? I think for the sake of time, we'll just call it good. Not that I've saved us a lot of time here, but you get what I'm saying. So here's our finished little wreath. Now, ideally, I would have had some stuff going in as well. But again, it's just my first try with it. So let's do another one. But let's change out our template here. And let's use the bigger template. And put these magnets here in the corners. That's just an extra. Okay. So this is for a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of cardstock. And again, I should have had the Cricut actually cut it, because then it would make more sense, or it would fit better. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once, and I don't believe I'm a multitasker anymore. Let me just put these little ones back in here so I don't lose them. It goes like that, I think. I don't know if that was that one or the other one, but I don't think it matters. They're very similar. Okay, so what do we want to use? Let's do... I think I'm going to use this long one again. And I'm going to put it up here, because I'm going to do this more like a mandala. And let's put one of these smaller flowers next to it. What's the smallest one? It's probably this guy. Oh, except I don't want them the same color. So we're not going to do that just yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that in there. I think I'm going to line it up right there with that center part. We're going to close our lid. And we're going to grab our green. Ink up our stamp here. And stamp. And let's move this one. Oh, that doesn't quite work, does it? Okay, I see. So that was how it originally was. Okay, well, that's a learning lesson. That's good. That would be a really good place for your Cricut to write your, you know, put little arrows or something on there for you so you know which of your points to match up. Live and learn, aren't we? What I will do is I will share this file, and my Facebook group, Expressions Craft Studio, and so you feel free to use it, and you can modify it whatever you want to do. The only thing I ask is you don't sell it, and that I mean, that's really it, I guess. Okay. Anyway, so I will share this file, and feel free to use it and make adjustments, or create your own. Since we did go over that earlier, you can certainly do that as well. Oh yeah, so this isn't so bad once you figure it out. I almost wish I'd gotten out my small stamps from Tim Holtz, just because they're a little smaller and I have more color options. All right, moving right along. So this time I'm creating a mandala as opposed to a wreath, although they are very similar. That kind of keeps shifting a little bit, in the way they're created, at least. So I used to see people who had the washi tape or whatever on their magnets, and I couldn't figure out why they did that. Well, Then I got some of my magnets stuck together, and I realized it just makes it easier to separate them if you've got something that you can hang on to. So I don't know if anybody else knew that that's why people do it, or if that's even why people do it, but that's why I did it, because I forget and lay these things down, and they're so strong they can find each other from even like an inch away. Moving right along here. A couple more and we'll have our first one done. Now you may have noticed that kind of stamped off the top a little bit. I don't care about that. That is fine with me. You could always, well, I say you could use a bigger piece of paper and then cut it down, but actually that's not necessarily true. It just depends on how big your stamping platform is. As you can see, mine comes all the way over to the edge almost. I mean, I could maybe add, what is that, not quite half an inch to this sheet of paper. So I couldn't make my template a whole lot bigger. But if you have a bigger platform, you certainly could. All right, so that's our first one. Look at there. How cute is that? So just going to line it back up again, and we'll go and do the next one. Who are we going to have? Oh, see how they, oh, snap my fingers. Well, that was unintended to show you how that works, but now you know. I have actually pinched myself with those magnets on more than one occasion, and let me tell you, it hurts. So do be careful. I've also managed to cut myself with my paper trimmer, so that hurts as well. All right, let's pick a flower, I think. Let's do, we've got two shades of blue, so I'm going to do this in a lighter blue, and then we'll pick a center to do in a darker blue. Or do I want the smaller one? Maybe I'll do the smaller one. Although the bigger one does fit better. Now we'll stick with the small one. And we're just going to lay that down however it goes in there. And actually, if we move it out this in toward the center a little bit. There we go. Attach that. These are the folders I was talking about, and unfortunately I can't zoom out enough to get you to see it better. They have the portion down the center where you can put your 3-hole punch paper in it, and then they have some pockets here. And all I do is I just cut the front off, then I cut the pocket off, and I do save this because I can get a stencil out of there or a template. I do generally cut this edge off here just because it's extra thick, and I worry that it'll affect the performance of the completed stencil. But there you go. These are by Pen and Gear. Whoops. From Walmart. And I think they were a little over $1 a piece. And I went to the back to school sale and just bought a whole bunch of them. So they weren't very expensive. They're far less expensive than regular Mylar template material. I don't know the thickness of this, but it's definitely thicker than the cardstock. I was looking at the back to see if it said, which I didn't think it would, and it doesn't. But anyway, it's a nice sturdy. It's not gonna get distorted or ripped or anything over time. And if you don't like leftover ink on your stuff, it'll just wipe right off of there. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to finish this up, and I'll come back and show you what I did when I'm done, and see if I have thought of anything else I could add. All right, we're back. I finished stamping. My shoulder says it is time to quit. And you got to listen to those little aches and pains sometimes. So I'll remove my template. And again, this was the one for the 3 3/4 by 5. You could also do it 4 by 5 1/4. You know, make them bigger or smaller. That's the whole point of showing you how to do this, was so you could make your own. Oh, but then I went through that lovely stamped image. I even put a little sentiment on the front, but I've got a little bit of ink residue there. And I could have added more, but like I said, my shoulder is done. So I think it's pretty cute. This is more the mandala style versus the wreath style, which if I had taken a little more time with that, that would have come out a lot better. But you get the idea anyway. So I think that's all I had for today. Again, I don't remember the name of my stamping platform, nor does it say anywhere on it. I don't think it's even... I looked under here a while ago, but yeah, it doesn't say, so I don't know the name of mine, but there are others available. Misty's a very popular one. I want to say Crafter's Companion has something. It works a little differently. I'm not sure that it would... I don't know. I've not used it, so I don't know. I believe Stampin' Up! Used to have one, and Tim Holtz, I think, used to have one, or maybe still does. So there are other options out there if the Misty's out of your budget or whatever. But this is the one I use, and I do like it, especially for being able to reposition stuff. I'm not good with stamping. I prefer digital stuff because then I can get it perfect, centered the way I wanted. Whereas with this, you can see I got little smudges, but at least with the tool, I was able to go back over that again and make sure it was nice and easy to read. So I think if you're into stamping, you probably want some kind of a stamping platform. Unless you're just a lot better at it than I am. But yeah, that's where we're gonna call it a day right there. And you can see, hopefully the glare's not too bad. This one's a little pale, so it's a little hard to see. Does that make it pop out any better? Not really. But anyway, you can create countless, endless images with this type of a technique. And like I said, depending on the size of your stamping tool, you can make bigger templates or smaller templates. It's really up to you. Or if you're not interested in making your own, I recommend Gina K's. I believe it's called Wreath Builder. And I know somebody else has recently come out with one. I believe it's Simon Says Stamps. His is a little different, the way it works. I want to say it reminded me of the Crafter's Companion one, the way it pushed down, the whole apparatus pushed down, but I might be wrong about that. So I would look it up and, you know, see what you think might work best for you. But there are options out there. And for those of us who can't just envision, you know, look at a piece of paper and figure out where things go like Ruth does, and need a little extra help, this is the way to go. So thanks for joining me. This is Georgiana again with Expressions Craft Studio, working with my Cricut. And if you have any questions, don't be shy, don't hesitate to ask. If you want these templates, you can go to my Facebook group, and there will be these and a couple of others in the file, and I'll share the file in my Facebook group. So you can take it and use it to your heart's content if you have a Cricut, or, well, I think you need a Cricut because I don't think you can't download it from Design Space, but you can take what I showed you and how to make it, and you can recreate it for a scan and cut or a silhouette or any other cutting machine, using whatever software you're using. Anyway, we're going to call it a day. I really kind of like the way that turned out, so I'm going to make some more of those. But until then, Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate Aileen for the stamp. This was just one of many stamp sets that she shared with me. I appreciate Glenna, who is always so supportive of my channel. And I appreciate all of my friends who take the time to watch. And whether they comment or not, I do appreciate you. So again, thank you very much. And until next time, this is Georgiana. Happy crafting.